What's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. Hey, I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Family Empire Houston. This is season 1, episode 7. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel, and would you please be so kind and support by liking this video. And if you're new or been hiding in the bushes, come out from wherever you are and hit that subscribe button for me. And you can leave your comments below. All right, let's get into this episode because this episode was for the books. All right, so we start off where we left off in last week's episode. This is when they were talking, Keisha, the G1s, and some of the G2s. They're debating on what should have happened to Miss Lakeisha. As far as they think it was wrong for was it Janet? Aunt Janet to take Lakeisha around her home so that the family could get to know her. And Mr. Bubba Braden, I think his name is Frank, was gypped out of his opportunity to do what Miss Janet did for him. And the question was, was he going to do it? Was he not going to do it? I mean, there was this play on of words and semantics and stuff. Really the question is, you know what the answer is. He wasn't going to do it. It's year 7 of this girl that's been born. He wasn't going to step up. Monet said that I think that people stepped into this and they should not have, and respected their marriage and allowed him to come forth in it. Monet is Team Mom, Team Joy. There's no problem in defending your mom, but you need to know what you're defending her for. Look, I understand marriage. I understand the honor in it and all of that. But let's stop manipulating with this whole marriage. I'm the wife. I'm the husband. Get out of here with me with some things that go on as far as respecting the marriage. One, Frank got 2 women pregnant around the same time. He wasn't married to either one of them. He ended up choosing Miss Joyce. And what was brought out in this conversation, or this debate or argument, Frank chose, of course, Miss Joy to be his wife, and also chose not to be a part of Lakeisha's life. Miss Joy did not want this girl around. Everybody's getting upset. Miss Janet, she got upset because she said, I didn't want to have this conversation because she knew that this was going to go wrong. And all this stuff, she gets up, she's in tears. Nicole was trying to simmer down everything. Jermisha and Jaquita, they were going at Monet for yelling at Miss Janet, saying, respect my mom. We have not yelled at your mom. Da-da-da-da-da. When Miss Janet leaves, Lakeisha, she gets up and she says something like, wait a effing minute, or she said, shut the F up. And it finally got quiet. And that's when Miss Janet walked off and did her own thing. But while she was walking off, you hear Monet says, you only do that type of carrying on if you were guilty. I said, Monet, guilty of what? You mean the parents aren't guilty of leaving this child behind, not knowing who their real parents are, and decided to just slip a check? We find out that he gave child support, and he thought that that was it. So if it was child support, did you have to get put on the books? Or did you actually have an agreement with Lakeisha's mom? That's important, because you think you did your duty. No, the government told you better pay this. Would you have done anything, or you would have just acted like Lakeisha's mom was nothing? It would feel disrespectful, but at the same time, you were disrespecting that child. I mean, Frank, come on. Mr. Bubba. Anyways, at this point, everything's kind of dissolved. At this little meeting, one of the other sisters, I didn't get the name because they didn't put the name up there, but she ended up saying, there's a lot of argument going on because of you. And she was talking to her brother Bubba. And she said, well, what's going on? About the stuff that you did as far as leaving Lakeisha out, and Janet was bringing her around. And Frank was like, you shouldn't have been bringing her around. That wasn't her place to do that. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, well, we deserve the opportunity to know this child. Da-da-da-da-da. That wasn't your right. And he was like, my wife don't have to accept this child. And she looked at him like, Ninja, She don't have to accept this child. She decided to marry you, so she should accept everything pertaining to you. I think so too. Did she have to, like, garner a relationship? No. But Miss Joy, you should not have barred him from being around his child. But you think that you got the prize. And possibly you loved the Braden name. Possibly. And I don't want to paint her some type of way. I just know so far that you didn't really want Lakeisha around. And that's the only thing that I can press towards you. As far as why you stayed with this man, I don't know. But however, you got the upper hand by getting him to deny a child. And I don't know. Well, Keisha, she states later on as to how she has been. And what she does question, does it really matter? or really should I have been brought around the Bradens because of the mess it caused, you know? But the mess was already there, man. Seeds have been sown in some type of way. Some weeds were going to grow in this whole situation and sprout up, and you're going to have to deal with the weeds. Okay, but before we get on to there, so while the sister and Bubba are having an argument, he says, you should have been a parent, or you should have had some kids so that you could understand. And she took such an offense to that, and I would take an offense to that. Like, what? One, just from a common sense thing, what does it have to do with being a parent? To let you know that you shouldn't be abandoning the parent, the child. That doesn't make sense whatsoever. But then it was really a dig at her because she didn't even have children. But some people do think that in certain situations, unless you've been through a certain thing, you can't have any kind of take. But y'all got common sense. Y'all got common sense when you're making these type of arguments about whatever, about what somebody has any type of input in and what they shouldn't be imputing on. You abandon a child. And you abandon the child for the sake of keeping a woman in that family. It was a lot. There was a lot of crying. Eventually, Frank, he rose up. He was talking this talk. Lakeisha comes in and she goes off on Frank. And he was like, I'm 74 years old. You can't tell me what to do. 74 years old, and you still think you were right in your decision to abandon the child. There is no, I don't know what type of conversations have happened over the years, whatever. So I am fussing, but at the same time, I think I still got to give some type of grace until we get more information. We're getting fed information, most definitely. But I think that we need more clarity on things to just make an outright judgment over something. And I don't want to judge, but to make a conclusion of certain things. I'll just say it that way. Because it's like, this family is still new and we're still getting to know everything, I don't even know if you've apologized to your daughter that you decided to keep away. I don't know that. But how you feel now, you just are rat-tat-tat, like you're in the right in this whole situation, and you're not, sir. You are not. So, Keisha jumps in and he says something like, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to come in and scoop you up. Then she ended up saying something along the lines, maybe I need to actually look at my notes. Sorry. But it was something along the lines where you should have stepped up and actually been a father. None of these other people should have had to do it. But they did it. Out of concern for me. They went to bat for me and all this good stuff. And everyone was trying to cool down Mr. Bubba. But Keisha said, I got this. But at this moment, she got really emotional. It was like, it didn't have to be all this, because she kind of accepted things to be, it is what it is. However, Nicole finally got at least everyone to shut up. And she said, hey, we're not going to do this to Keisha. She is our sister. She's a part of this family, and she's not going anywhere. It was Nicole just taking a stand over this whole situation. Like, y'all are not going to do her like that. Like she's just some raggedy doll on the street that's just a nuisance to this family. No. Not so whatever. You know? Lakeisha did feel like when this was all going on, you know, I didn't have a chance to go run to my mother. Just like the rest of the family, they got to defend their moms and hear what they got to say and all that good stuff. I didn't get to do it. I had to just stand there and face this with people that I think some love me and then some don't. That's interesting, y'all. That's very interesting and very hard to actually deal with. You're one against a whole bloodline. In a way. But Nicole did stand up for her. And the aunties did too. I'm just painting the picture. Some people said, leave it alone, let this child just stay where she needs to be, even though she belongs to the family also. It's crazy. But Lakeisha really felt great. She felt, because she's never really been protected, this is the first time that she's been protected. I think that Lakeisha should have been protected a long time ago. I really do. And I'm not saying that responsibility was on Nicole, but she needed to be protected. Whoop. But I loved what did happen in that moment. It's like even though they didn't want things to turn the way that they did, it opened the door for Lakeisha and Nicole to have a better relationship, and we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. But Nicole says, hey, we're better than this, and we got to do better, so let's pray. And they prayed after that whole situation. And that's something you don't really see a lot. After that, most of the people just go over to their corners. They might start a huge beef. They start talking about each other behind each other's backs, all that stuff. No, let's end this in prayer. No matter how the confusion started, God, we need you right now in the midst. And I love that. All right, so we're moving on because I talked a long time on this. 12 hours later, Jamisha, she sees her home and it's a mess. How she reacted to everything, she's like, my mom is the sweetest person that you would know, and she never saw her mom be this upset. She didn't even see Uncle Bubba. She's never seen that, how he's reacted before. He's never acted like this before. She hasn't seen it. I'll just say it like that. Because I don't think this is the first time he's interpreted things to his family like this before. She may not have seen it. Later on, we talked with Nicole. She said that she really hates that her family is upset like this. This is just not how we're supposed to be. I just need us to be a loving family. So during the time that we see the scene that she's crying, she's even crying in the confessionals and all that. And all that good stuff. We get a confessional from Keisha. She says, I've already forgiven them. I've kind of she's lived a life where she's had to fend for herself. And she's also thought like, well, maybe I should have never gotten connected with the Ravens and I wouldn't have had to feel all this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's just a thought, Is it better that I would have just stayed on the outside and not really be a part of certain things? Nicole and Larry, they go out to the park. They also bring Leighton with them. I forgot to mention this during the whole thing. The whole explosion, Larry left while they started arguing and all this good stuff. So anyways, Nicole conveys to Larry, I haven't cried like this since Pawpaw passed away. That's wow. She's like, she doesn't really know what's going to happen. Like, can we really come back from this? Just from what was being said to one another. It was a lot. She said that she would have loved for Larry to be there to support me. He says that he realizes that he should have been there and all that. I guess he didn't anticipate it just being that bad. And definitely not for Nicole to break down or anything to that nature. I think he probably thought that Nicole could handle it because she has, and she's a strong person, but she broke. But she said, I'm not the one to say that I'm not okay, but she was confessing that I'm not okay. And I need you. She said in a confessional that she kind of understood why Larry did leave. And I've been trying to stay away from this, but do we need to really talk about the past with Larry and Nicole? Because something's there. Something's there. And I think that there was some... Just me thinking, I do not know anything. I think that there was some type of infidelity during their marriage. And I don't think that the family cares too much about him. Of course, the in-laws, the guys, they're going to at least be friendly with him, I don't think the G1s and G2s are too fond of him. Next week is the season finale, so I think when season 2 comes back, I think they're going to delve into that. I think that's my opinion. But it would have been nice to have a support. I mean, Chris was there, and he was trying to get things to stop, but it didn't really happen that way. So Keisha and Caramel, they go out to breakfast or whatever. And Caramel just expresses, I really felt bad for you in that moment. Keisha feels like Bubba felt like he was being embarrassed, and she's like, "How do you feel embarrassed? Because you're being called out for what you neglected to do. There's no accountability." And definitely from older generations, they are stubborn and just won't take accountability for stuff, especially if they think that they're right about stuff that don't even make sense to be right about. He said she just really wished he would have been around. Even if Miss Joyce did not want her around, why didn't he sneak to try to be a father or something? Come around, something. Like, she said that she played basketball, and he also played basketball. We could have bonded over that. But you just wanted to send a check. And thought that this was the way to be a father. And that's why I say, would Keisha still been better with Frank coming around? Because he had no time for the other daughters either, because he was providing. And that's what a lot of men have been programmed to be, providers. And forget about being the leader of the home within the home to impart into their children. Let's see. So Caramel just asked, did you call him yet? And she said, no, I haven't. Maybe this just be some of my payback. I'm not calling. Maybe he'll feel some of the abandonment that I've felt. But she does feel like nothing's going to change. No matter what we did bring up, it's not going to change, and it is what it is. She talks about what Caramel brings up. I know it had to feel a great way to have Nicole back you up. And we know that Nicole really felt a way that actually happened for her. Nicole and her, they're talking a lot more on the phone. They're checking on each other. She says that she's moving on with her life, no matter who wants to be a part of it or not. She talks about her son, who's 20, Tavion. She knows that she has to be an example for him. And that's just that on that. Cousins. Oh, the cousins meet up. That is Nicole, Dramisha, and Jaquita. They're pouring wine or whatever, and Jaquita, she gets just a little bit. And she's like, y'all quit playing with me, pour some more over in here. Because we know how Jaquita can get. So they talk a little bit. Dramisha talks a little bit about Nicole taking up for Keisha. And she said that I know that we joked about the wall before, but I believe some of that wall has been torn down since that time, And Nicole does agree to that. And she's at this point, no, we're not going to do this to her anymore or at all, She was kind of playing devil's advocate with Bubba, saying, well, he may have been reacting the way because he was caught off guard and he was trying to defend himself. Bad defense, though. We get what he was doing, but bad defense, sir. Nicole does feel like there should have been just an isolated conversation between Joyce and Jackie. None of us should have been there. I think so too, because it added to a lot of the rah-rah. It did. It added to it. Just in the same way that when they were talking about the property that Granny owns. All of a sudden, these people, too many cooks are in the kitchen. That's what was happening. So it escalated, and now some of the G2s ain't even really on the same page right now. I think even Nicole said that she laid in bed for a whole day. Oof. That's how weighted this situation is, that people just want to sweep under the rug. That's what Keisha was saying, that they're just going to sweep it under the rug. That's just it. So then they switch over from that conversation and just talking about, our pitch. We need to know, are you really with us? Because it looked like you was trying to sideswipe us with your own little plan. She said, I did that just as a way so Granny could see it in some type of way for everyone to benefit. It wasn't really to cut in. And Jamisha's like, well, I really need you to be on our side because she hasn't really heard our presentation as of yet. She said, look, I'm all for whatever you got going on, but hey, I'm still Team Granny, and I'm paraphrasing. That's how she's going to be. She's going to back up whatever team, whatever Granny's got to say. And they're too much alike, and I would not be surprised if Nicole is not over her will. But she may have Aunt Nikki as over the wheel. Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. You know what I just realized? I have this hat on and I got on this shirt that don't even match. But I just didn't want y'all to see my head the way that it is right now. I'm not presentable. Sorry. Jaquita, she goes and visits her cousin on her dad's side to show him a duplex. We get where she was trying to show him different places that, like, I can't afford, and I don't even know why you brought me here. Anyways, there was this duplex that was going for $515K. Basically, he wanted to know, because how this duplex is, he can have one side of the house and then rent it out to someone else. But he also thought about the neighborhood. He says, well, in the next 5 years or so, Jaquita was selling that it's going to increase in value here, and how probably things are working out. Things will be in better conditions for this area, and you can make a lot more equity as the value of this certain community rises, because he was looking for a return on his investment. Now, Jaquita says that you can take this offer today or risk waiting a couple of days to think about it and the property be gone. So Travis ended up taking the deal. Jaquita also talked about her and her home that she's been living in for 10 years. She is ready to go. And that's something that she talks with Chris a lot about. Thank God for Chris for signing that contract, because your lady ready to move. It's time to move on up. She said that she wants to be closer to her sister also. Nicole and Monet, they were trying to seal this deal to be the property seller for this guy, and I think that he was the assistant or whatever. It's for a basketball star. They have Monet there to kind of help seal deal and all that good stuff. It's a 5-bed and 5-bath, and it's a half acre going for $4 million. And they said that they had plans to, furnish it up a little bit so that they can see the luxurious side of them actually living and moving and living in the spot or whatever. They're still looking for people, but they're keeping the Braden Group in mind. I'm glad we could get back to some of the rental stuff outside of just the drama. So keep this up. Kingdom Reign Entertainment, just so that we can get some balance. I still think that is missing from Love and Marriage Huntsville. Even though I was entertained on the last episode, but that's beyond. Okay, so let me just wrap this up. Monet and Nicole, they talk. Like, have you spoken with Keisha? She said, yeah, She gives them the rundown as to how the relationship now is. Monet doesn't appreciate how Jaquita came at her, talking about, she's the baby and she should have stayed out of this. I don't know why that was even brought up in that way, Jaquita. I think we all should have just stayed out of that, but I think you just should stuck to just saying, don't be talking to my mama any type of way. That's what it would have just stayed at, The pitch day. Mostly everyone shows up. They said that one of the aunts had to work. She's a nurse. And Bubba had to work. Now, he's 74 years old. And this dude's still working. And I said this on my way to try to film this. The G1s, I don't know what y'all was doing. And I'm not saying that y'all couldn't do what you did doing. But it looks like most of the G1s are people that got to clock in for a job. And I'll leave it as general as that. There's no way that Bubba should be still working. Now, if he just wants something to do, that's fine. Do I think that that's the case? No. And it's hard to see that Granny and Pawpaw, they were owning land and all that good stuff. They probably had their own jobs too. But it's like, so none of that jumped off on y'all, and really it skipped a generation, and the G2s have taken up the steed of making sure that the Braden legacy is known throughout Houston someplace, I find that very odd that that's what's going on. But anyways, the pitch is going on. It sounded like Granny would just be ready to sell. There's money that they got to put up first, like a lot of money, and you wouldn't really see an investment until about 5 years. So that's how it ended, but we're not done with the pitch or whatever, because we got to still hear Granny's final decision. It sounds like she's ready to sell, so we'll have to see. Lord, that was a lot. All I can say is shame on the older generation. Not even for what you did. It's for you guys still thinking that you're right. That's so crazy. After all these years, you're still trying to stand up and act like what happened was really right. That ain't cool, but whatever. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I thank everyone for coming to this channel and supporting me. Please like this video and subscribe. Until the next one, peace.